Welcome to today's episode of Your Marketing Mentor. I am your host, Sherry Sutton, and today I'm going to take you with me while I present about how to use personal branding to build your influence at the women's division of the Plano, Texas Chamber of Commerce. So here we go. Just one word of warning. If you're listening, you're going to hear some, clanking of forks. And if you're watching, you're definitely going to see some waiters going back and forth. But hey, that's what happens when you do things live. So please excuse all the craziness. The message is awesome. You are going to absolutely love this. Tons of nuggets that you can use to grow your influence with personal branding. Let's dive in.
I'm going to now introduce Ms. Sherry Sutton. I'm going to read a little bit about her bio here. So Sherry knows personal branding. Her superpower is delivering the best of business growth strategy alongside her ability to hold space and help audiences excavate their true services, uncover their magnet message, and show up authentically, all without feeling dorky, spammy, or overwhelmed. She's a magnetic speaker who has shared her vast knowledge at a TEDx talk and on her successful podcast, Part of the Hustle. Sorry, it's very like print, so I'm trying to read it. Her deeply personal talks take audiences on her journey from a chronic people pleaser who appear to have it all, to losing it all to addiction, and her rise to a deeply authentic entrepreneur dedicated to helping others find their authentic voice. Sherry has a master's degree in executive MBA, studied marketing at Yale, and spent nearly 30 years working in strategic omni-channel marketing for everyone from startups to multi-billion-dollar international conglomerates. Welcome, Ms. Sherry Sutton.
Thank you. Hi, friends.
Hi.
Welcome to Frizzy Hair Wednesday here at the Plano Chamber of Commerce Women's Division. I don't know how many conversations I had before this about frizzy hair. Anybody in that club today? Yes. So thank you so much for having me. I have heard so much about this group. I actually came to the business conference last year because my friend Asia was speaking. You'll see a couple pictures of Asia in here because we've worked together in the past, but so impressed with this group and so honored to be here. So the name of my presentation is How to Grow Influence Through Strong Personal Branding. But it doesn't have to just be influence, right? It's really, most of us here are business owners. Anybody here not a business owner, just likes hanging out with business owners? A couple people, good. All right, so we get it. We're really super cool, and so I get why you would want to hang out with us. But this is a way, we're going to talk about personal branding and how to use it, whether it's to grow a business, whether it's to, grow an organization, a nonprofit, right? Whether it's to get influence on your HOA. I'm fighting with my HOA right now, so we're like, how do we get to know the people in the HOA and, get them to like me, and so that I can not have to replace my stupid windows. So. All right, so we're going to go ahead and talk about that. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. I moved this a little bit so maybe y'all can see it. The slides aren't that important, It's eye candy, so don't worry about it if you can't get it. So a little bit about me. I am first and foremost a mom. I have a 14-year-old. We actually just came back from hiking Machu Picchu, which was really, really neat. We did 40 miles in 5 days, so a little tired. But he's amazing. I'm also a bonus mom of 2 amazing adult kids, and then one of them has a wife, and I have a 7-year-old grandbaby. And so I'm also a grandma. So I've got one in high school and one in elementary, and then one in college still. It's kind of a weird thing. So I've spent 30 years in marketing, doing all different types of things. As you heard, I've worked for some presidential campaigns. I've worked at chemical companies. I've sold nerdy products to other nerdy people. And then I've done all sorts of other types of products as well. And what that has given me over the years is the opportunity to understand what marketing tools work for which kind of businesses, because they don't all work for all businesses. And I think that's one of the misnomers we have, especially if we're new in business, is we tend to say, oh, I got to be on social media. That's the big one, right? I have to be on social media, or I have to do networking, or I have to do this. Usually when you say that, it's just because somebody else is doing it and you think you're supposed to too, right? And there are some things that you have to do, but there are some things that don't make sense depending on your business. And it's all about where your clients hang out and where they look for information about products that you sell. And so one of the things that I've learned in doing this even before the internet revolution and being really a part of that in the early 2000s is that every business needs a different marketing plan. And so I now take that and help other people to figure out what their ideal marketing plan is. So I've been doing that for 30 years. My first entrepreneurial venture that was successful, I made handbags and baby clothes and jewelry, and I've always had a little side hustle. I've been selling since I was 6 years old. But my first big entrepreneurial venture was as a photographer. So I was a brand photographer, and I really learned during that experience the power of personal branding. Because I realized that everybody's work was pretty good, right? I did a lot of wedding photography, which was so fun. And I realized, though, that I was comparable to a lot of people, kind of in the middle, I'd like to think high, middle of the range. So how was I going to stand out? What was I going to do that was going to be different? And one of the ways that I really grew that business was doing bridal shows. And I realized walking into the bridal shows that all the other photographers were men who were maybe, a little older than me, all black, right? And they did, I as a woman just stood out, my style stood out, but I really leaned into that. I was like, all right, how do I use this to my advantage, right? And so I started showing up in cute little 1950s, bright pink dresses, my hair's, red, it was even redder at the time, right? And I stuck out like a sore thumb in those meetings. And I realized that the more I talked about myself and the more I presented myself as the photographer behind the lens, my work was important, but it was me that people were buying, right? My work was good and comparable, but it was me that they were buying, right? Especially on your wedding day. I don't know if anybody here remembers their wedding day or has gotten married recently, but it's really stressful, right? And so creating a personal brand where people learned and trusted me was incredibly important in growing that business. And so now I help other people to figure out those two things that I just talked about. One is hey, what are the things that I should be doing? And then two, how do I be the face of my brand in a way that doesn't feel gross and weird and spammy and icky? Because that's the first thing that people say, I don't want to be a Kardashian. I don't want to be one of those weird people, right? I don't want to be spammy. I don't want everybody's worried about Aunt Marge, right? Aunt Marge is going to unfriend me on Facebook. Okay, screw Aunt Marge. If Aunt Marge isn't buying your stuff, who cares, right? So I spend a lot of time talking to people about how to utilize personal brands to grow their business. That's a little bit about what I do. And we talked about I went to Yale and all that stuff. I did a TEDx about 1.5 years ago. So that's out on YouTube if you'd like to watch it. And it's, again, my story of falling into addiction in my 40s and coming out of that, which was a really intense growth experience in learning who I am as a person and being willing to stand up for who I am as an individual. No. Oh, thank you. Thank you. All the pictures in here are my clients. So this is Mary Lyon. She's amazing. If you guys have never followed her, she's a great financial coach. All right. So people buy from people. People listen to people, and people buy from people. A lot of us are really worried about AI, right? I stay up at nights worried a little bit about AI and AI replacing our jobs. But there's that human touch that's incredibly important, and I don't think is ever going to go away. Because people still buy from people. Right? People still want to see a face. And we forget that sometimes, right? We have our products, we have our widget, we have our whatever, right? And that's going to be what sells it. And sometimes that's true. You have to have that. But people also buy from people, right? They want a spokesperson, somebody at the front that they can trust. And if you look at the biggest brands in the world, they do this really well, right? So who is the person in front of Nike? When you think of Nike, who do you think of?
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, Michael Jordan, right? I don't know, probably a million other people. Yeah, basketball. It's been done in advertising forever. I'm rewatching Mad Men right now with my husband. And it's all about, right? There's a spokesperson, right? For all of these, because people buy from people. So it's incredibly important that you make your business personal, right? That you are the face of your business. Or if it's not going to be you, you got somebody else who's the face of your business.
Mary.
And a unique personal brand is really key to personal influence and to growing your business. You want something that's kind of unique, right? You don't want something that is just like everybody else. And you also want to make sure that it's consistent with who you are as a person. So let's say you see me here, right? And I got the bright suit on and the glasses and all that stuff. And then you head over to my website, right? And I'm wearing a gray suit and my hair's blonde and I don't have any glasses on. And I'm like, right, in my pictures and the tone is very formal. It doesn't connect, right? So you want to embrace your personal branding, being about who you are as a person, because nothing is as unique as you, right? We all have things that are different about us. We all have aspects of our story that are different, right? My story and journey of addiction that I, shared earlier doesn't have a lot to do with me being a marketing coach, so it has helped me in, being solid in myself as a human being. But it's part of my story. It's something that makes me unique. And so I share it because it shows me as a whole person, because people buy from people. The other thing that is to think about is that people buy from people who aren't perfect. And I can't remember if that's my next slide. Nope. People buy from people who aren't perfect. We know it. We recognize Asia.
I'm perfect, Sherry.
Asia is perfect, which is why I had to take her off the screen, because it wasn't going to work. It just wasn't going to work. She is perfect. It's true. But people buy from imperfect people. Like, who likes perfect people? Like, that's why everyone's like, I don't want to be a Kardashian. Like, nobody wants to buy from them, right? I mean, maybe some of us do. But we want to buy from like a real person, right? Who's got real flaws, who's been through what we've gone through, right? Who gets where we are. Okay, now we get to go to perfect Asia.
Right here.
Right here, there she is. Right there, if you don't know her. All right, so what are the components of a personal brand? So some of the components of a personal brand are really everything that you do. So it's the words that you choose. It's the clothing that you wear. It's the tone. Do you talk fast? Do you talk slow? Right? What are the colors that you use? Sometimes we think about our brand as just like our logo, but it's so much more. And the way that it's generally defined in marketing circles is it's your overall vibe. It's the emotion that you make people feel when they connect with you, right? When they are in your presence, what are the things they think of when they're in your presence, right? And it's going to be different for everybody, right? Like the things that always come up with me are like creative, spunky, right? And that's part of my brand. And so you just have to lean into that. So some of this is a very introspective exercise too, of like, who am I? What do I stand for? What's important to me? Right? But it includes all of those things. And you will see me, I wear my brand colors all the time, right? So even being very consistent in what you wear and the type of style that you have, a lot of times we say like, well, I'm supposed to dress like this. And so this is what I'm supposed to do. So I'm going to do that. Well, if that's not you, don't do it, right? Find a way. Like I think I have to wear a suit when I speak in front of an audience. I think that's appropriate, right? My mom, thought you should wear suits on airplanes. She was from that generation, right? Like, you're wearing jeans on the airplane, like, God forbid. So I think that's important. But if I'm going to do it, I'm going to wear one that's bright orange, right? And that's authentic to me. So who needs a personal brand? Really anyone who is the face of their brand. And I would encourage you to think about your business as a place to utilize your personal brand, no matter what that business is. For some of us, it's very obvious, right? Like, I'm a marketing coach. If you hire me, you're going to work with me one-on-one. You want to know what you're going to get, right? A doctor, a coach, a photographer is, a good example. But we'll pick on Asia for a second, right? So she has Windhaven Academy, right? Maybe why does it make sense for her to be the face of the brand, right? It's about the kids. It's about the teachers. The reason why it's important is because people need to know who they're putting their trust in with their kids, right? They want to know where the buck stops. And so she has to be the face of that brand to say, I'm fully in control of this business, and you can trust your children with me. And oh, by the way, here's all the other things that we offer, right? And then she has, her other consulting business, which it makes much more sense for her to be the face of the brand. But no matter what that is, right, you're always going to be the face of that brand. Does this make anybody feel uncomfortable?
No.
There's people in the back who are like looking at their... I don't want to admit that this makes me feel gross. Some people, it's uncomfortable, right? Sometimes it's uncomfortable. And, we're not all like groomed to be, there's a bug, to be on stage, right? We're not all groomed to be people who are, the face of anything. We're like, I'm an accountant. Like, I just want to do people's taxes. Like, gross. I don't want to do this. And that's okay too, right? There's lots of ways that you can do this in a way that doesn't feel gross and spammy and weird. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the benefits of developing a personal brand. So the first thing is you're instantly recognizable no matter where they see you. And so one of the weird aspects of my personal brand, besides, just sort of overall vibe, is these glasses. And I get recognized, like, in weird places, like at Target and stuff. And it's because of the glasses. You have cool glasses, too. Do you wear them all the time?
I wear them all the time.
Yeah. Like, you can see her from across the room because her glasses are so unique, right? So finding something, does anybody know Red Hat Larry? Yeah, you know Red Hat Larry. I mean, he gets this, right? He's like, I'm just gonna wear this damn red hat everywhere I go. And everyone knows Red Hat Larry, right? They don't know his name, they just know Red Hat Larry, right? And I've become like red glasses Sherry. I don't even like these damn glasses. I really don't. The story is, it was COVID. And I was a photographer for a while, went back to corporate America. So I'm in corporate America, and I buy these glasses on Amazon, and they came in a pack of 2. One was clear, and one were red. And I was like, I hate these red glasses. But I like the clear ones, and they only come in a set, so I'm gonna buy them. So the red glasses sit on my desk at home. Well, the world shuts down, and the only pair of glasses that I have are the red ones. So I start wearing them, because my other ones are in lockdown in my office, right? So I start wearing the red glasses. I start building this business kind of on the side, right? Because I knew that the corporate job was going to go away pretty soon. And so I start doing videos online with these glasses on. And I go in for my first branding shoot with a girlfriend of mine who's a photographer, and she says, well, where are the red glasses? I'm like, well, I don't need them unless I'm on the computer. And she looked at me, she's like, but they're your brand. And I was like, whoa, interesting. Like, I hadn't thought of that, so now I'm stuck with the red glasses. But you want to have something that makes you instantly recognizable no matter where you are. And I need to update this slide. I'm going to move so the people over there can see it. But this is a really good example. This is my branding. And it's very, very consistent, right? So if you're scrolling through Instagram, you can tell which are my stories, right? And which are my things, because the colors are very consistent, all the way down to my wardrobe, right? So my podcast, is the same color. My photography is the same. My backgrounds, my clothes, everything is very intentionally done from a color perspective, right? You can see it on my YouTube page. That's my Instagram, right? All of my pictures. I make sure that everything I do is in my color palette so that I'm recognizable no matter where I am, so people can see me from across the room. My office is at a Caddo facility, and I love Caddo. I do all their executive headshots. And I went in one time, and someone was like, "Oh, Pink sherry. It's either red glasses sherry or pink sherry, because I wear a lot of pink, because that's my primary brand color. But people will recognize you, right, by that. Or even like logoed shirts. A lot of women don't do logoed shirts. It's kind of a dude thing. But that's something else you could do too, right? I have a client coming in later today to be on my podcast, and I told do you know Texas Roots? It's a store. Yeah, she's amazing. So I told her, like, wear something with your logo on it. So if you got stuff with your logo on it, wear that, right? But something that's always recognizable. Okay, so the second benefit of a personal brand is it goes with you no matter where you go. How many people in this room have started a career and have never changed at their job their whole lives? All right, there's two. But so the rest of the room, like, we've changed jobs, right? Like, we've gone and done different things. We've had different lives, right? I've had a lot of different jobs. I've been an entrepreneur a couple different times, right? So we change and we evolve. The great thing about having a personal brand is that it allows you to take that with you no matter where you want to go next. And so I'll give you an example of that, which is Oprah. Anybody heard of her? Yeah. So Oprah started her personal brand as a journalist, right? She had a knack for interviewing people and started this talk show. Anybody used to watch the talk show, like in the 80s? Oh my God, I loved it. And so she started this talk show, right? And everybody started loving her. And then she added the books. And then she added the look underneath your seat. Right? And then, you get a car and you get a car, right? She started adding on all these other types of products. And you got to know she's getting a kickback for that, right? So she starts adding on all of these other product lines because she had built a personal brand where people knew her and trusted her and were like, if Oprah likes it, I'm going to like it. That is the power of a personal brand. So she used that not only to sell products for other people, but to also add other product lines. So she then created a magazine. Right? She has a line of tea at Teavana. There's a tea, an Oprah tea. Who knew? She actually came out with a line of food, which I think has died since then. It came out right during COVID, and so I think it just sort of died on the vine. But she had a line of food. I don't know if it was with Weight Watchers. I think she was doing some stuff with Weight Watchers at one point. But she's been an actress. She's been a producer. She started her own network, right? But it was all based on her personal brand. So Oprah could go out and be like, I'm going to start an exercise routine, right? I'm going to start an app for working out for women over 50, right? And I download it, right? It's Oprah. If Oprah likes it, it's got to be good. Right? That's the power of having a personal brand, is you can change and do other things, right? I have gone from being a photographer to now being a marketing coach. I'm a podcaster. I can add all of these things on because people know and trust, I hope trust me, that I'm going to give them good content, right? I'm going to give them good guidance.
Right.
So the third benefit of a personal brand is you get a very clear impression of your values at all times, right? People know who you are and what you stand for. And that's incredibly important. I think a lot of us don't like to take a stand in what we do, right? We don't want to rock the boat. Now, I'm a big believer in I never talk about politics or religion, right? Like, there is a line, but if that's your thing, let it be your thing, right? And that's okay too. But be very clear about who you are. So some of those elements, right, are a clearly articulated superpower and why you. And I think that's one of the things that most business owners actually struggle with is, what is my superpower and why do people want to buy from me, right? What makes me unique? What is the unique way that I can offer a service that nobody else can? Why me? And if you can't answer that question, it's something that I want you to go home and really think about. Because there are a million other people who do exactly what you do, right? Frequently. And so why you? What makes you different? And it might be something very trivial. We often dismiss those trivial things that are the things that make us really unique, that are going to bring customers to us, that are going to bring people into our world in a way that they're going to want to work with us over someone else, right? And so we tend to like, oh, well, I have to be everything to everyone. You don't necessarily. What is your superpower? Who do you really love working with? One of the questions that I always ask in this too is not only what's your superpower and why you, but who do you want to talk to all day long, right? If your business is successful, and it will be, you're going to spend 8 to probably 10 hours a day talking to somebody about something. What do you want to be talking about, right? That's your superpower. What you want to talk about all day, that's generally your superpower, right? All right, so the second thing that's a key element of having a personal brand is we talked about visual cues, right? Having a very strong brand definition that you can use in everything you do, from your clothes to your presentations, right? I've got on the back of my computer, I'll turn it around later, I don't want to unplug anything. I've got my logo on the back with my colors on it. I have a green, my main color's green. I have a green backpack, for God's sake, right? Having those strong visual cues so that people know who it is, no matter where you are. And it's going to get boring. It's gonna get boring to you, right? You're gonna get bored of it after a while, but that's okay. Asia has done an incredible job. We worked together and hired a really great designer named Natalia Gaitan. I don't know if any of you guys know her. Her new business is called Hala Creative, something like that. She just changed her name. But she created this very consistent look and feel, and it's all based on Asia's style, right? She could take her logo and any of her branding and hang it up in her house, and it's totally her, right? But having those visual cues that gives something for you to stand out. The next thing is your tone and your vibe, right? Do you talk fast? Do you talk slow? Do you talk loud? Do you talk soft, right? But whatever it is, none of it's right or wrong. There isn't like, well, you have to talk fast and you have to talk at this, right? None of it's right, none of it's wrong. It's about being consistent, so no matter what, people know what they're gonna get when they're gonna see you, whether you're in person, whether you're online, whether it's your website, whether you're in front of an audience, what are they gonna get that's gonna be consistent? And in the way that you talk, right? Do you swear? Do you not swear, right? Whatever those things are, you want to be very consistent in both your writing and in your verbal. And it's, again, it sounds like, well, yeah, duh. But so many of us, especially when we start businesses, we're scared to death that we're going to fail and we're not going to make any money and we're going to be like underneath the bridge homeless because our spouse left us because we're losers. Right? I mean, at the end of the day, that's where it goes ultimately. Is that just me? Am I the only one who catastrophizes everything in the room? But really, I mean, it's scary, right? We're constantly scared of like, am I going to be successful? Am I going to be able to pay my bills? Am I going to be able to move to the next whatever it is? And so we tend to change how we present ourselves in our marketing to be what we think we're supposed to be, and it's not authentic, and it becomes exhausting, right? And it doesn't resonate. People buy from people, and imperfect people buy from imperfect people. So the more you're willing to be authentic. And so think about that. Think about the tone. Think about, now there's going to be times where you're going to swear with a certain group of people where maybe you won't swear otherwise. Like, that's okay, right? But think about, where am I at my most authentic and how do I show up in that and how do I bring that into my business and into my branding? So your face on everything. Who gets the heebie-jeebies when I say that your face has to be on everything? A couple people. Yeah, because like a lot of us are taught, especially women, we're taught like, don't don't be showy, right? Keep yourself small. Don't be that person. My mom called them broads. So my mom was raised in the 50s, right? So, she was like Betty Draper, right? If you guys ever saw Mad Men. She was raised in the 50s, right? Men rule the world. That's how it is. You need to, you don't be bigger than the men in the room. Don't be bigger than the women in the room, because then they're going to hate you. They're going to think that you're a broad. Don't be a broad. Don't. Just keep yourself small, right? Do what you stay under the radar, right? Did anybody else hear these kind of things growing up? Sometimes it's a parent who's old-fashioned, or sometimes it's a culture that's old-fashioned, right? But we're taught often to stay small and to not take up any kind of space. And for those people, it's real hard to put your face on stuff because it feels really showy. And it feels kind of gross, but it makes a huge difference. Now, you get to do that in the way that feels good for you, right? You might want to do video, right? You might not be the person who's like, hey, here I am, what's up, right? You're the kind of person who does really great photography, and you've got pictures of yourself on stuff, right? Maybe you're the type of person who rents out a studio. I have a podcasting studio down the street, shameless self-promotion. And you can come into the studio and I'll record videos for you, right? And you can I'll interview you, and you can do it that way, right? There's lots of ways to do it in a way that feels comfortable, but your face still needs to be there as the face of the brand. Look at Oprah. I find Oprah's magazine, I found it really annoying because she had her picture on the front of every single issue, and I thought that was kind of gross for a while, and then I was like, oh, that's pretty brilliant, right? Joanna Gaines is doing that now with her magazine, right? She's on the front of every, and I'm sure she's like, oh my God, there's my face again. But we love her. Don't we love her? Yes. And we want to buy the magazine, and we want to buy the magazine because she's on the front, because we like her and we trust her. She probably feels a little weirded out by it, right? And if she doesn't, she's not human. But that's normal, and that's okay. But it's an incredible part of the journey. And people are getting annoyed with your face being on everything. You're doing it right because they're actually seeing your marketing, which is a whole other, right? That's a whole other presentation about how to get people to actually see your marketing. All right. The last thing that's part of a good personal brand is having a magnetic message. So your message should be what you offer to someone that they know that they need right now, that's going to get them off their couch and their wallet. So I'm going to say that again. It's what someone knows they need right now that's going to get them off their couch and their wallet. We often tend to sell, here's my cool widget and here's why you need it, right? But if they don't know that they need it, they're not going to pay any attention. So you have to find what is the problem that someone knows that they have right now that they're willing to change their state to do. How many times do you guys have to see that ad for that thing you know you need before you're going to buy it? 100 times, right? We are overwhelmed and exhausted with information all the time, right? But the more you're able to narrow in on what's that one pain point that's going to get them to move, the better you are. I have a lot of clients who come to me, they're like, well, but if you just understood my product, then then people buy it when they understand it. I'm like, then it's not a product. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to have a pain point that's going to hit people in the gut that they're going to go, I need that now. I need to get off my wallet and off my couch, because we don't want to get off either, right, in order to buy this thing. So having that magnetic message is incredibly important. And it's very hard to find that when you don't have a coach or someone to do that, right? Whether it's me or it's somebody else. But it's very hard to see the label from inside the bottle. So I really recommend that you have someone else who can say, tell me about you, tell me your superpowers, tell me what's important. I had one of my most popular videos on YouTube actually is I had my lips tattooed So I don't have to wear lipstick. It's super cool. You guys should try it out. So there's this lady, she's in McKinney, and her name's Holly Walta, and she tattooed my lips. And I was like, she was a client, and then I was like, oh, I have to do this. And so I was like, hey, why don't I do like a behind the scenes journey of this whole, right, me getting my lips done. And so she's amazing. You should go check out the video. But one of the things that when we were working on her strategy and we were working on her magnetic message, she's like, well, I tattoo lips, and she does eyebrows too, which is great. Like, some people know they need those things. We were like, why you? I mean, what's different about you? So I'm like, tell me about you. Tell me about your childhood. She's like, why do you care about my childhood? That's dumb. Childhood's got nothing to do with the fact that I do tattoos. I'm like, just tell me, like, there's got to be some story in here of why you do this. And so she starts telling me about her childhood, and she was like, I was that kid who had a paintbrush in my hand all the time. I always had a paintbrush. I always had a notebook, right? I was always drawing. I was always doing things. And I was like, man, that's different than anybody else I've heard who's out there talking about doing dermaplaning. That's out there doing dermaplaning, right? What a powerful message, right? I've been drawing since I was born drawing, right? I've been doing this since I was a child, and now your face is my canvas. That hits a lot harder than, hey, you don't like your eyebrows, let me fix them. Right? Because the level of, back to my story about being a photographer, your level of competency is the same, right? I'll just show those. She's very, very good. But what is it about you that makes you different, right? And that's part of your magnetic message. And it's got to be authentic. It's got to be part of who you are. And you got to be willing to be okay with being authentic, right? And being a little quirky, whatever your quirk is. And so, because we talked about people buy from people, but imperfect people buy from imperfect people. Is anybody here perfect? Besides Asia. We know she's perfect. Yeah, none of us are perfect, right? And we don't want to buy from those weird Automobot people, right? Who don't wear Spanx. Ryan, I don't know if you wear Spanx, but just throwing it out there.
Ryan definitely does.
Yeah, he does. I know. Yeah. I knew that. We got one other dude back there. Spanx? You got your Spanx on today? He's like, I don't even know what Spanx are. His neighbor's over there explaining it to him. Yeah. Thank you for being a good sport. All right, so authenticity should just look like you. And these are, I think, some really good examples of photography that I've done, whether it's me or another photographer, where you want to find a photographer who helps you figure out who you are and gives you the space where you can be comfortable and hold space for you so that you can be yourself, right? So that you don't... I've done them. I have had photo shoots where I'm like, you know what, I'm a little bit too much. Sometimes I'm a little much. All my pictures are like, right? Like, I need some more subdued kind of pictures. Like, can we get me a little bit more subdued? And I hate them because they're not me, right? And I just was like, all right, look, I just have to be me. And that's how I am. And those are the pictures that are going to resonate for me and for you, right? Because if you see a picture of me and I'm like,
It's not you.
yeah, it's not me, right? And they're going to be like, who the hell is that? What happened to Sherry? Somebody drugged her. Okay, so there's a couple elements of being authentic that I think are important to think about, right? Things that fully embody you, really in all areas of your life, right? I was talking about Asia. This is just her visual brand, but like, you put any of her branding up in her house, it matches, right? It's all we created a brand that was completely authentic to who she was, both visually and in the words and the tone and all of that. But you want to show up uncomfortable. I'm never comfortable, right? I'm always uncomfortable. Like, I'm uncomfortable right now, and that's okay, right? But you have to be willing to show up uncomfortable. And you have to be willing to show up uncomfortable because it's never going to be the right time to do it. It's never going to be the right time. Your brand's never going to be perfect. The video's never going to be good enough. I tell people who do video training with me, like, just record it and post it and don't look at it ever. Like this right now, we're recording this for my podcast because I'm too lazy to sit down and actually like record the podcast. So I just bring a camera with me when I go speak at places, and then I'll use this as a podcast. So, and the reason why, and now I totally lost my train of thought. The reason why I do that is just because I have it, right? I have it anywhere I go. Showing up uncomfortable, right? I will never watch this again. Because if I watch it, I'm going to hate it. I'm going to be like, oh my God, why did I do that with my face? Why did I make fun of that guy for wearing Spanx? He's allowed to wear Spanx. Don't judge. Okay. You want to find ways to inspire other people, right? We are in a stressful world, right? And I hate when people say, well, this time is unprecedented. And it's always a little stressful, right? But you want to find ways to inspire, hold space for other people, make them feel good, right? Be okay saying no, right? Be willing to say, no, I'm not going to wear a black suit to that thing. I wear orange. If you don't like orange, then I'm not going to go, right? That's okay. That's okay. It's okay to say no. Focus on your hell yeses. I love that phrase. And I struggle with this. I do the things and I take the clients that I shouldn't because I want the money and I want the security, right? We've all done it, right? Anybody who says they haven't, lying, right? We've all done it. But focus on the hell yeses. You're going to know and be willing to say no. It'll open up space for other things. And lean into your values. What's important to you? And be willing to stand up for those. Now, there can be a line there. That's okay, right? There can be a line where I don't talk about certain things that I believe because it doesn't really help my brand. It doesn't, it could hurt my brand, and I don't really want to talk about it anyway, right? I don't want to use my platform for those things. So it's okay to say there's certain things I'm not going to talk about, And like I said, I don't talk about religion or politics. I'm at home. I don't want to talk about it. It's too exhausting. It's not authentic to me, right? If it's authentic to you, cool. Do it. The most important thing in developing a personal brand, whatever it is repetition and consistency. And this is the biggest struggle for most people in growing their businesses, is allowing yourself to do the amount of repetition on a consistent basis that is required. You can't show up to a marathon having run like twice and expect to make it and not sob the whole way or crawl over the finish line, right? Or even if you're going to make it to the finish line. It is about small, repeatable actions every single day on a consistent basis. It's having your face on everything even when you feel gross and weird about it, because no one else is going to feel gross and weird about it, right? Like, I've experimented with this with my stuff. Like, everything, I'm on every video, I'm on everything, and people are always like, I love your content. I'm like, oh, God, I'm so sick of looking at my own face, right? But you have to be repetitive, consistent. And if you struggle with figuring out how to do that in your marketing, I'm happy to help. There's lots of, other marketing coaches that I like to think I'm pretty good. But get somebody to help you figure out how to be consistent and create not only the content platforms that are going to help you be consistent, but also the systems, right? Like, how do you keep yourself organized? How do you keep, right? This is part of my system, right? So I'm recording this today. I'm getting a speaking opportunity out of it, right? So I'm meeting all of you amazing women and men, right? I am then recording it as a podcast that I'm going to chop into a bunch of reels. And so I'm getting two weeks worth of social content out of this. I'm getting a YouTube. I'm getting a blog, right? Might even get a press release. I'm getting 2 weeks worth of social content that I'm going to post on 5 different platforms, right? So there's ways to create systems that allow you to be very consistent in your marketing. But it all starts with strategy. You have to have a very strong strategy, which includes, what are my superpowers? What do I offer that no one else offers? Who needs it, right? What do they know that they need? How do I create a message around that? And then where are the places that I'm going to show up repetitively and consistently so that I can get in front of them so that they want to work with me? Right? That's your overall strategy. And so, and a lot of us don't have it, right? A lot of it, we just kind of like go, which I get, right? But having that strategy, I promise you, will help you go so much faster than if you just kind of like throw darts at a wall. I like calling it throwing darts at a wall with no dartboard. Having a strategy is having a dartboard, that you've got something that you're aiming at. You might miss. We all miss, right? And it's always the things you think are going to be great. You're like, I'm going to make this video or whatever, or I'm going to make this post, and it's going to change lives. I mean, everyone's going to be like, oh my God, they're going to love me. I'm going to make so much money. And then like no one sees it because Taylor Swift gets engaged or something at the same time, right? And then you're screwed. Right? Like, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen with the algorithm, right? And so having a strategy where you're going out and being repetitively is really important. So a couple things to ask yourself that are, the key elements of strategy. What impact do you want to have in the world? Right? When you leave, what impact do you want to have? Who do you serve? Why do they need you? Not why do you think they need you, but why do they think they need you? And sometimes it's different. And this is especially true with my coaches, right? And my business coaches, like, well, if they just knew that they needed this, well, they're not going to buy that, right? The amount of time you have to tell them, you got 2 seconds to get them interested in what you're talking about, right? So what do they need from you, and what do they know that they need from you? How can you talk to them in a way that they know that they need you, right? How do you talk to that pain point? And then where will you talk to them to get their attention? So where do your clients or your potential clients hang out and look for information? It might be a networking meeting. It might be social media. It might be magazines, right? It might be door-to-door sales. I worked at Brinks Home Security, which is one of the biggest home security, right? We've all heard of Brinks, right? Do you know how they get the majority of their sales? This was a couple years ago, anyway, when I worked there. I haven't worked there in 6-7 years. Door-to-door sales. Like what? I was shocked. 90% of their business came from door-to-door sales. Who does door-to-door sales? We didn't even think about that as a marketing tactic, but it's still it can still be a powerful one. So where do people go to look for information? I'm not saying anybody here should probably do door-to-door sales. By the way, I don't condone that behavior as your marketing mentor. But it's interesting. It's one of those things where you're like, oh, well, clearly they do Facebook ads or social ads, or they weren't doing any of that when I started. It was a fascinating case study in marketing. So if you guys want to put together your overall marketing strategy, I usually take people through 3 different steps. This is kind of what they are. It's really just, first, let's root in who you are and what you want to do. So if you're running your own business, it's hard enough. It's hard enough without you loving it, right? And really living in, your superpowers. Then who do you want to serve? Right? Again, where are they that they know that they are, that they need your help? And then how do you attract them? Thoughts, reflections, questions? Yeah.
So these are...
Here, I'll bring the microphone to you.
So I'm kind of approaching this process. These are very uncomfortable questions to ask ourselves.
Yeah.
So if we don't know, we don't know the answer automatically, who am I? Who do I serve, and what do I do for them? then who can we go to, or who do you recommend that we go to, who will give us, some of that insight, because we're in the middle, we're in the bottle.
Yeah.
Where do we go?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's good. I mean, this is going to sound really self-serving. It is really good to have a coach to help you through it, right? To help ask those questions. But I think one of the best things you can do is just ask people. Ask your friends. I did this early on in both my photography business and in this business, and I did like a crowdsourcing on Facebook, and I just said, hey guys, when you think of me, what do you think of? Right? What comes to mind for you? Because we can't really see ourselves, right? And the words that came back, I was like, oh, huh. Like, whatever, spunky, creative, those are the biggest, kind of the biggest ones. And I was like, oh, I don't see myself that way, right? But it changed my perspective on it. So you can ask other people. I'm actually in the process now, so if you are a former client, you're gonna get this email soon, where I'm kind of like, what's next in my business, right? We should always be doing that, checking in on our strategy, what's next in our business. And I'm gonna go back to my existing client, my former clients and my current clients and say, what am I good at? What is my superpower? Because here's what I think my superpower is, but I don't know if it is, right? And ask them, what's my superpower? What am I really good at? What did you get out of this that was unexpected? What did you learn? Because often what people learn is different than what I think that they learned, right? And so just asking people around you. Often though, it's inside you, especially when it comes to like rooting into what business you want, right? It's inside you. And the biggest question that I ask my clients is, how do you want to spend your day, right? And I talked about this a little bit earlier. You've got, 8, let's be honest, 10 probably hours in the day when your business gets to be successful. And you're going to be having conversations all day long with clients, right? That's the ideal, right? That means we're making money. Full book of business. What conversations are you having all day long that are going to light you up? That you go to bed at night and you're like, I'm tired, but man, that was cool, right?
There we go.
What are the conversations that are going to exhaust you? That you're like, oh, I should do this, but I hate doing that, right? I've had some of those things in my business. People ask me to do some things all the time, and I don't do them because I'm like, oh, that'll exhaust me. These are the conversations that I like to have, and they're fun. And that usually sometimes that changes the business. I have seen people who come to me with an idea of what they want to do in their business, and I ask them that question, and they go, oh.
Yeah.
Well, then it's this. You're like, okay, well, if it's that, then let's do that, right? You can build a business doing that. I don't want to create a business where you feel miserable. So some of that is just that, is reflecting back.
Can I add a little bit to that?
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, if you ask your friends and social media stuff, they're going to want to give you positive stuff. Here's what you're good at. Here's what you're awesome at. Here's what I love about
Yeah.
you, which is great. But I also want, those people that I trust to be really honest with me too.
Yeah.
And if I'm being really honest with myself and I answer that question of who do I want to talk to every day, what kind of conversations do I want to have, I would probably think about going 3 or 4 levels of why beyond that.
Yeah.
Pretend you're a toddler. I'm going to talk to these people. Why? Because I enjoy, solving this problem. Why?
Yep.
Because I think they need that done. And then that'll kind of help us get a little bit further down into what the real meaning of it is.
Yep.
I try.
Yeah, and doing that with someone, right? Whether it's like, a business buddy or, a mentor or, something, it helps because somebody else looking at you and going, why? Hits harder than when you ask yourself. I think it's so important to have, again, either a friend or a mentor or somebody that you do this with, because you're gonna get there so much faster, right? And you don't have to have one forever, right? Like I'm in the phase, like I haven't had a mentor in a couple years, but I'm like, again, sort of at that spot of like, okay, what am I good at? What's next? Where are we moving next? Then you hire a mentor again, and you go through the process again, and then you go through it again, and then you go through it again, right? It's an evolving process. Go ahead. Sorry. Here.
I was gonna say, I'm not afraid of what's next or, okay, tell me more. I'm afraid of more of me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. fear, I think, is the worst thing, though.
What are you afraid of?
When things, when you feel like, huh, I'm having a hell of a day. That is hard. That's fearful to me.
You're not in
And
control.
then I have to, yes, and then I have to shake myself and say, but tomorrow will be a different day. I had to then talk to myself or hear a mentor or someone that I trust, which in my deep in my heart, if is my God, is what I believe, is the person that I feel is in control of me.
Yeah.
And then something will pass through my mind that said, this shall pass.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, we were talking, if not everybody heard, it's like, how do you deal with tough times? And for me, it comes back down to this. What impact do you want to have in the world, and what are your values?
Yeah.
Right? And so, you can, stuff's going to happen. You're going to lose clients, right? You're going to get a tax bill you weren't expecting. Your stupid HOA is going to make you replace a window that was like that when you bought it, right? You're going to forget to wear your Spanx. But if you go back to your values and you're like, here's who I want to be and here's the difference I want to make in the world. Did I get 1 inch closer to that today? Did I stay in my values? Did I get 1 inch closer to where I want to be today, right? I might have taken 2 steps forward, 1 step back, or 2 steps forward, 3 steps. Math is hard, but you get the idea, right? Like, how many, am I living in my purpose, right? Am I living in making the difference that I believe that I was put on this earth to make, right? Even though I lost the client, right? Even though I got that big tax bill, even though my poor friend came to a meeting yesterday, she had tripped on her way in and had just mud, just everywhere. And she was like, what are you gonna do, right? Fell in the mud. Okay, still here, let's go. I'm like, all right. But being able to show up and be like, well, I fell in the mud. But I'm here and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So that's a great. Anybody else? Questions, thoughts? Yeah, I'll come over. How are we on time? I'm just going. Huh? Oh, we're way over time. Oh, we're waiting on food. So you guys, we'll just keep talking until you guys get bored of me.
Okay, my question was, how do you kind of leverage your personal brand if you don't own a business and maybe you're more in the corporate setting? Curious of your experience on that.
Yeah, I think, I think you can still develop a personal brand, and you can do it through, you could still speak at different conferences about whatever your experience is. You can be on boards of nonprofits. There are so many nonprofits that need help, right? Find a cause that you really believe in and allow that to be kind of the center of how you present yourself. LinkedIn is a great way to do that if you're in the corporate world. I actually have a client. She's one of my one-on-one mentorship clients. And she came to me, she's in the corporate world. She had just gotten this VP role in a company that's owned by PE, like private equity. And they were like, look, you need to develop a personal brand. You have no online presence at all. And so we sat down and we talked. We're like, okay, what do you want to be known for? Like, what difference do you want to make in the world, right? And she's not it's not selling, whatever, beauty products, which is the company that she works for. She's like, I'm dyslexic. And I'm really passionate about helping other people with dyslexia. And actually, I just took this role as vice president of the International Dyslexia Association of Dallas, right? And so that's something I'm really passionate about. My kids are neurodivergent and all that stuff. So we're actually creating a personal branding strategy for her that's built around her love of people of helping people who with neurodivergence, helping people with dyslexia, what she's doing with that organization, right? And we're doing a lot of it, specifically on LinkedIn because it's a corporate, kind of a corporate thing. So there's lots of things you can do. Just lean into whatever you love doing and be willing to share it. I think one of the interesting things that I find, it was a really good question, thank you. One of the interesting things I find, and this is especially true of people who are, so I'm a Gen Xer. Any other Gen Xers or probably maybe a couple boomers in the room if they're willing to admit it, right? All right, so we especially were taught that life is over here, right? And business is over here, and there's a giant brick wall in between, and you will never, you never play on the other side, right? My work persona is my work persona, and my personal persona is my personal persona, and the two people will never meet because God knows what will happen, right? And it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work that way in our world anymore, whether you're in corporate America or not. Now, there are some rules when you're in a corporate America. I mean, there are some rules for me, even I work, there are things that I wouldn't do, right? There are some social mores that we still need to follow. But people want to know who you are as a person.